Hello and welcome back to the Making Fire podcast. This is a podcast where two longtime besties talk about their favorite TV show, Survivor. This week, we're doing a little recap rewind. We're recapping Survivor 15 China. Talking about episode 12. Oh my god, we're really getting to the end of it, aren't we?
It is almost over.
So exciting, so exciting. But before we get into it, Maddie, how are you?
I'm doing so good. It is such a beautiful day out. It's been a really pretty weekend. I love when it's just like high 80s and sunny because I feel like it's been a little bit humid lately and I haven't loved that, but I'm like, "Oh my god, it is just hot right now and I like it." Um, it's been a fun week. My sister and her friend were visiting for the week and they left yesterday and it was a lot of fun. But one thing I want to talk about is false marketing because I love a gummy bear. And this was just upsetting me and I noticed it because it was sitting right behind my monitor. But I love gummy bears. And then yesterday I was at the store and when my sister and her friend were picking up their airplane candy and I saw these gummy bears. And I love the gummy bears that have like a little bit of juice inside them. So they're like a little bit of a gusher kind of moment. So I got these ones. Unfortunately, Logan ate most of them. So they are gone now. But gummy bears, deliciously juicy. Would you think that they had juice in them?
Deliciously juicy.
And then the imagery of juice.
I don't.
Okay, but there were
so
these and then there were just other ones.
For me personally, I don't know if I've ever had such heard of a like juicy gummy bear. Like as you were explaining it, you're like, I really like gummy bears that have a little bit of juice in them. I was like, I don't know if I've ever interacted with that before.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
well this brand makes them. Does
Okay,
that.
but that wasn't what they were. Is that what you're
No,
getting
they
towards?
didn't have juice in them.
Oh.
And so I just want to say that was the disappointment of a lifetime because I haven't had a gummy bear in so long. And I was like, okay, yes, you can't call them juicy and have the little, juice squirting out and then not have them be juicy at all.
I don't know. I don't. And you know what? Like, I hope this isn't a test to our friendship. I don't know if I'm 100% on your side with this.
What? Wait.
Wait, gummy bear. Wait, what's the brand?
Black
Black Forest.
Forest, juicy. Oh, juicy burst. Wait, no, they definitely
Yeah.
make. Wait, no, they definitely make them in gummy bears. Juicy burst gummy bears.
Oh yeah, right here. The ones that say Juicy Burst on them.
Don't make them. They look the same. I'm sorry that I don't know the exact like label, but why? Look, put that back up.
Well, so this one's gonna go ahead and say Juicy Burst Centers on them.
Where? Oh, right there. But that.
Yeah.
Why should I have to look so close? What? The same imagery.
I
They're the
guess
same
I'll give you
bear.
that. I'll give you that.
The
I hate
same
to.
red bear and the
Well,
yellow guy.
this red bear does have a little tree
So
with
does
a
this
little.
one. So does this one. Look.
I know, but is it dark? Is it dark in the
Yes.
center? Like,
I'm sorry. I should not have to look that close. These are the same to me. This is actually proving my point even further, if I'm being completely honest. I'm sorry that I shouldn't have to read that. Why do they both say juicy or juice?
okay, you know what? I'll give you Juicy, and I'll give you the liquid. The liquid on it
And
is a
they
little
look the
confusing.
same.
And what I'll also give you for your argument is that they both have the slogan "So juicy, so good" on the packaging, which I would also go towards. But to me, what is getting me a little is that these are specifically branded as Juicy Bears, and to me, if you were such a big fan of the Juicy Bears, I feel like
Yes, but I'm not that big of a fan. Like, I just said I haven't had these in years. And so when I see this, I'm like, oh, that's it for sure. Because I shouldn't need to know that they're specifically called juicy centers. They should just be juicy because I've never referred to a gummy bear as juicy before.
and you know
They're
what I will give
gummy.
you I will continue to give you is the fact that I've never heard of this before, and so I also if you told me if you said Riley, go to the grocery store right now and pick me up the Juicy Bears,
Yeah.
I probably would have grabbed the one that you're holding.
And I thought they were more special because I've had this brand before. They sell it in like a huge, like multi-pound bag at like Walmart, but I saw the little tree, and so I was like, oh, they've got to be special. Oh my god. Ugh. Anyways, that is my beef. I'm not threatening a lawsuit, but I'm just saying this does feel like false
Threatening a
advertising.
lawsuit.
I'm really upset about it. um, yeah. I mean, if I looked at this close enough, it does look a little bit darker in the middle. I'm going to be completely honest. That's because their tummies are a little bit large, which is fine.
Come on,
Assortment may
large
vary.
tummy.
Anyways,
Are you gonna
how are
maybe
you?
ask me how I'm doing?
How are you? Oh, they have a TikTok.
Um, well, I'm doing fine. I think today that I want to talk about the Olympics just for a quick second.
Yeah, do it. I forgot about
You
that.
know, I've been really enjoying the coverage of the Olympics. You know, there's a lot of countries. I feel like a lot of countries are having a lot of firsts this year, which is really exciting. St. Lucia just won their first medal ever,
Ooh,
and
that's
it was a
fun.
gold medal, so super exciting. Um, she beat out Shakari Richardson in the 100-meter race, which is super exciting because it's like, oh my god, Shakari Richardson was like the she literally
The
is.
front
Well, I guess
runner.
not
Litter.
anymore. Well, I guess she is the fastest woman alive. She still has the fastest time this year, but she lost in the Olympics, so whatever. But um, a lot of first. The Philippines just won their second. Well, actually, today they won their third gold medal ever. The same.
Ooh.
I know in gymnastics, super exciting. But one thing that I don't like about the Olympics, and I'm going to be brave for a second, is the camera people. And I know this might be a very specific like comment, but to me, nothing makes me more frustrated than when like I was watching The Vault yesterday. Simone Biles, and Jade Carey
Carrie.
were doing some flips on the vault, and they each ended up medaling, which is super exciting. But then after, like, there's this scene where I think Jade was the last to go, and then she ends up getting bronze, and they're like hugging on the sidelines, and just like swarms of cameras, like not even inches, not even a foot away, like inches away from them, like five cameras on this side, like video cameras, and then there's like a barrier behind them, and then there's like a wall of photographers taking pictures of them.
Mm.
And I'm like, take a fucking step back. It
Yeah.
is not that serious. Like, you do not need to be in my breathing space. I was watching before they were doing the heats for the 100-meter men's race yesterday, at least like during the prime time, excuse me, the prime time like videos, and they were doing the introductions to all the people racing in this specific heat, and the camera guy was going so close to their faces, like you can't imagine, like it's not a zoom, like they're actively just like this close, and I'm like, that is so overstimulating. These people are about to do the biggest race of their lives right now,
Yeah.
and they need to be in the mental headspace, and what are you doing? You're shoving a camera in their face. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's a type of situation where it's like, oh, they're athletes, they should have to blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, they are athletes, but they're not animals for our viewing pleasure. Like, these are humans at the end of the day doing like a sport that they love and spend so much time towards. I'm like, why are we? It feels a little exploitative, and it feels a little uncomfortable. I'm like, why are we so?
Like, I
That's
don't need to see them that close.
I
I
don't,
want to see
yeah,
them do
that
what they
close, or
do.
just be in their personal bubble. I mean, sometimes enough is enough, and I feel like that's enough. But that's just my tea about it. Um, the Simone tweeted something earlier today about the media. Let me see if I can pull it up. Because the media just pisses me off, and I'm sure the media pisses Simone Biles off. But um, Simone tweeted 8 hours ago. I think this was after they just did the balance beam, maybe.
Mm.
She said, "You guys have really got to stop asking athletes what's next after they win a medal at the Olympics. Let us
Yeah.
just soak up the moment we've worked for our whole lives."
So true. I'm hating all of this. Like, oh, will the Katie Ledecky be back for the Olympics? Will Simone do it again? Will all these people? That's in 4 years. They
So
don't.
much can
I
change in
bet
4 years.
most of them don't know.
I was thinking about it. There's a guy, Ryan Krause, I think is his name. He's been the shot put
Oh
champion
yeah.
for the past. He's from local to us, not local because we don't live in Oregon, but well, I don't live in Oregon, but in the same region.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the thinking about how he's won gold at the Olympics, in the last three Olympics, 2016, 2020, and 2024. That's 8 years that he's been at the top of his game. At what point is enough enough? I just said that. But I'm like, that has to be
Yeah.
so tiring. He says that he practices every single, like, that's a 365 job for him to stay at the level that he is at.
Yeah.
365, 8 years for just throwing a 16-pound ball. Like, at some point, you have to be like, enough is enough. How many times does Katie Ledecky want to swim 800
Oh
meters?
my
Like, that,
god.
like, at some point, her body is getting tired. Like,
Yeah.
Simone can only do what she's doing for so much
Simone's
longer.
like the oldest
I
US
think
gymnastics
so.
person ever, maybe?
Yeah.
At 27. I know, like that's a lot for her to think about continuing to push yourself like that. That's hard and like the sacrifice is insane. And I also think it's hard because I know the next Summer Olympics are going to be in LA, and so everyone's like there's also that pressure of like, oh, that'd be fun to be home. But
Do you want to go to the LA Olympics together?
sure. I'll go see anything. I don't really care.
I think I would really love to see at a Summer Olympics game. I think I would really love to see tennis.
Yes, I
I,
love tennis.
I love tennis too. I think my hope would be to see Coco Gauff win a medal. Like that would be like my dream.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do swimming. I was thinking, I was watching swimming last night, and I'm like, I bet you it's so humid in there with all the
Yeah.
people, all the bodies,
Can I say one thing
that
though?
giant ass pool. Yeah.
I love the smell of a chlorine pool.
Okay. No, you're so valid for that. So right, so valid. But I don't know. Like track and field, watching track and field, there's too much going on. I
Yeah.
need a big enough I need a big enough arena where it's like, okay, this is really exciting, but I need there to only be like one thing happening at a time so I can really just like delve. Like that's the thing with gymnastics is like a couple things are happening at once. Track and field, a couple things are happening at once.
Yeah.
Like swimming, I'm like, but like tennis, I know how to watch tennis. I would say maybe basketball would be like a close second, but like I don't really know how to watch basketball
My
properly.
problem is like I can just go to a basketball game.
So
It doesn't
true.
feel that cool to me. And also so many I don't know. We get to see they're just so much more in the media all the time that I kind of
Yeah,
think it's fun like gymnastics. Who's watching gymnastics other than like the Olympics or major things?
so
Or
true.
like swimming. I don't know anyone that just like watches swimming for fun, you know? So it's kind of special because then you're like, oh my God, all these like athletes that we see every 4 years are like here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there'd be so many. I would love to watch the Olympics.
Well, we can start saving towards that. Well, let's move on and talk about some Survivor, maybe.
Yes, I'd love to.
Because you know what wasn't static this episode of Survivor China? It was
So
very
true. This
dynamic.
episode
It
was
was very
so
dynamic.
good.
There was a lot going on.
Yeah.
We'll just hop right into it. The girls, and when I say the girls, because at this point it is really just the girls left, the girls and Eric.
So true.
And spoiler
Wait,
alert.
can I say something that I learned
So,
today?
yeah.
So after this episode, I was just like, I wonder what Todd's up to. And so I looked him up on Instagram. Have you looked at his Instagram?
His Funko Pops.
Why is it all Funko Pops?
Well, do you know Todd's story?
I do a little bit, and so I was wondering if that maybe has something to do with it. But
I
I was
think
just
it was
like,
kind of
there's
his
not
post recovery like business.
his
He
Funko
I think he makes a
Pops.
good amount of money off of them.
They look good. I just like was not expecting it to
That to be his
all be
brand.
Funko
Yeah,
Pops. I thought there'd be like
yeah.
maybe some current pictures sprinkled in. No, his
No.
profile picture is probably from like this season and Funko Pops. And that was just kind of
Yeah.
funny to me.
I think that's sort of just his like his business now. Like that's how he makes his money, which Sliv.
I want to paint
I
Funko
also
Pops for
I
like.
went through a Funko Pop phase, as we're
I
all
know,
aware.
I know you did.
Currently in the process of trying to sell them, I think is my next goal.
Oh, that's the next stage of your Funko Pop journey.
I have okay, so in 2016, I bought the Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump Funko Pop.
Uh huh.
And apparently the Donald Trump one is really expensive because like I don't think they make like I think it's what us Funko Pop collectors like to claim are called vaulted. They're vaulted now. And I don't think they make well, I think there was probably just like a 2016 thing like for the election.
Hmm.
But like when 2020 came around, they didn't make like a 2020 Donald Trump Funko Pop. So I think the Donald Trump one is kind of valuable. And I'm kind of like I kind of want to like sell it. I don't
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah. Have you ever bought one of Todd's Funko Pops?
I haven't. I'm not one usually for a custom Funko Pop. Is not usually my brand,
Yeah.
but his do look really good.
They
I
do.
Sandra Diaz Twine, or he made one of Sandra, and Sandra like got it, and I was like, the paint job looks really well on these.
Yeah. How many Funko
So,
Pops do you have?
how many Funko Pops do I have? It's such a great
That's also such a
question.
great name, Funko Pop. Like, it's just kind
I
of fun to
probably
say.
have like 36, maybe. I'm
Hmm.
thinking of how they're all stacked up in that little shelf.
Yeah.
Because okay, Maddie's making it sound like, oh, I'm just actively like I haven't bought a Funko Pop in maybe 8 years. I think like the last time I bought one was when I was a freshman or sophomore in high school.
Oh,
Um, and so I haven't bought them and I haven't displayed them in years. Like they're all sitting on a shelf.
okay. I definitely remember them being displayed.
I haven't made.
And
Did you ever
like,
come? Did you ever come over to the first house that I lived in the town where we?
yeah.
Because I think I had them. I don't think you
You
did.
de
The first house that
Oh,
I lived
maybe
in.
I definitely was outside at one time. Like we stopped by, but I think you were in the process of moving out of it. But I
Um, I
definitely
def-
did go one time.
I definitely never had them displayed when I lived
That
in.
is definitely not true. I can
I
exactly
think
picture
I
where they
would.
were.
Okay, what were they?
By
Tell
your
me.
door, like on the wall.
Oh, you're so right. Now oh wait. Oh wait. The memory's coming back. You got me there. You're so right.
And like I know maybe you don't have like the biggest collection, but they were displayed very grand. And
Yeah, they were like stacked. I remember they're
it
like stacked
looked
on top of each other.
yes. And like
Oh,
when
you
I
know
see
what? No, you
Funko
are.
Pops, I do think of you. I'm
They
like,
are.
oh, Riley
You're
has
so
a
right.
lot of Funko Pops.
You're so right. I think I had like suppressed that in my memory. I'm remembering now that I did used to have them stacked up. I think until very maybe the last couple years when I redid my room. I think over yeah, it was over my sophomore year of college when I
Hmm.
came back for winter break. I redid my room, and then I was like, I don't need these displayed anymore.
Yeah.
But I haven't bought. Okay, but it is true that I have not bought one since like my sophomore year of high school. So
Okay.
it's been a minute.
Okay.
Anyway, to get back to the episode. So, if anybody wants to spend $200 on the Donald Trump Funko Pop, let me know. I will ship it. It's never been out of its box. The box is in mint condition. There isn't a protector around the box, and I'm looking to sort of sell all three together. So, if you're kind of wanting a 2016 sort of collection of Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, let me know. I'll give you a good deal. Thank you. Okay. You do have to pay for shipping. So. The girls come back and they are gagged at the blind side that it worked. They're like, I cannot believe James just went home with two idols.
Hmm.
Which I would also be a little. I don't think a move to this sort of a blindside this major where like everything could have gone wrong
Yeah, like
has
they got
happened
someone
like
out
that
with
before.
two idols. At this point, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
it is really crazy.
It's still crazy.
It is still crazy. It's happened a couple times since. Excuse me. It's happened a couple times since then, but every time it happens, it's like, oh my god, I cannot believe.
Yeah.
I think maybe now, in the era of Survivor 46, it's maybe not as crazy.
Hmm. It's
At least
kind
with
of
one
crazy
idol.
too that they're this far into the game and those are the only two idols.
Yeah, no Merge Idol,
Yeah.
just the two starting tribe idols, and they weren't even used.
Yeah. It's kind of fun.
It was, that is kind of fun. So PG notices, well, I guess she's noticing that there has to be cracks, obviously, because they sent James home. And she's going to try to push her way, and she's going to fight her way as far as she needs to place herself in a better position. Well, I think the argument could be made that just because they got James out doesn't mean that there's a crack.
Yeah, it's
I
like
think
he was an
James was sort of
obvious
universal.
threat.
Yeah, like a universal somebody to be possibly concerned about.
Yeah.
So I want to get your hopes up too much, PG.
Yeah, I think it would be crazy if they didn't try and get James out at this point with two idols. And like he's such a big character. And like he was just Jamesing around the whole time.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
I think he was a good personality. He was definitely somebody fun to watch this season, but I don't think like he never really had any huge game sense. Like he never really had a
No.
big position strategy wise. I think he was positioned well number wise, but
Yeah.
I want to apologize. I should have said this at the top of the episode that I don't have my microphone today, so we're kind of. I don't know if I sound different, but we're kind of.
It's fine.
Do I sound bad?
Not like bad, definitely different. But like it's not
Mm.
that bad.
It's not very friend of you. You never said you didn't say anything about it.
Well, I noticed that it was off, but I was also like you're in a different room, so I don't know if you like
Hmm.
do you want to borrow mine?
If you could bring it over, that would be really nice. It would be greatly appreciated. I we didn't talk about this since the merge, but the intro I think is really interesting. I forgot that they used to do this, where now they've totally cut the pre-mergers out of the intro,
Mhm.
and it's separated by the people, the merge tribe still in the game, and the jury members, and it tells you it's like merge tribe, and it shows all the people left, and then it goes the jury, and then all the people in the jury. I think that's so fun.
Mhm. I really
Like, what a
liked
fun
it.
way to like, and it's also like a fun way to um memorialize like our mm, a fun way to like
Show progression of the season.
yes show progression into season and show like where these people are at, like they made it past the pre-merge, like it's really it's exciting nonetheless, even if you do go home first like Jamie,
Yeah.
drag Jamie. You threw her under the bus, that was crazy. So back, they're all back in the cave, and they're all kind of getting fed up with being in China, being in the wetlands of China,
Yeah, it's really
which is
taking a toll.
understandable. Todd said it was day 32. Um, like that is crazy. Like I would be at that point. It's like okay, we've seen what we can see, and we need to start wrapping it up. Like
Yeah.
they still have a week left,
Yeah.
and I bet you it's going to be the longest week of their lives.
Yeah.
That's
Especially with
really.
less people around, you're just like chilling there.
I know, and it's like you still. Well, I guess as the game gets closer to the end. Well, I don't even know. I think it would still be every other day because they're at the final six, and they have 7 days left, which means they have 3 votes left that they have to do.
Mhm.
Which means it's still going to be every other day they're voting somebody out. Where now the Survivor endgame in the modern day Survivor is
Fast.
every day. Like you're voting somebody out every single day,
Yeah. Oh, I have a
which is
question about this.
yeah.
So, I know at some points hasn't there been isn't like final 2 in Survivor?
Right now.
Well, like throughout Survivor. There's been like
Um,
final 2 and final 3. And I feel like I remember old seasons them being like, "Oh, but we don't know what it's going to be in the end."
I don't think maybe in Survivor China it was a bit because it would have been Survivor Cook Islands, which was season 13, would have been the first final 3 that they had. So
Mhm.
actually Survivor China would have seen the final 3. Like when they
Mhm.
went out, they would have seen that like the final 3 is what happened. So I think at this point moving forward, it's sort of the assumption is that they're doing a final 3 and not a final 2.
Okay.
And then there are some points. Survivor Token Genes and then Survivor Kagayan are the last two seasons where they do a final two. So I think those seasons are,
Mm.
that's what the surprise is. It's like, oh,
Oh, so it was like meant to be, because I feel like I remember the people talking about like, oh, but we don't know what it's gonna be, and I feel like this it felt more like, okay, well, final three, you know.
yeah, I think it would have been the, but even then, like the way that Jeff revealed it in Cook Islands like was kind of a shock. Like the whole season they were expecting a final two, and then at the final four, like I think they voted out voted somebody out at the final five, which meant there was four people left. And if I remember correctly, Jeff was like, "Tomorrow you'll play in your final immunity challenge, where the last person will be voted out and put on the jury, and you'll go to a final three." And it was kind of like, oh my god, it's going to be a final three. Like they hadn't been
Mm.
planning for it at all. So, but I do think sometimes there's like a twist involved. So I think you're right, but I don't think it was like, I don't think this season that was the expectation.
Okay.
A little Survivor history for y'all.
Thank you.
So they're feeling bad, they're feeling down. Everybody's kind of like, we need to pick me up. Well, gag. They have to do this reward challenge, and Jeff is like, you're going to be in pairs, and you'll have to find each other. And then Jeff's like, I wonder who y'all will be paired with. And he goes, Eric, you're going to be paired up with your mom. He's like, yo, mama. And then Gag, Eric's mom, comes out, and we're having a family visit.
I loved this
Good old
so
fashioned family
much.
visit.
Yeah.
So exciting. We just don't, we get letters now. Letters aren't as good as the real thing.
No, they're not at all. And I don't really like, I know I'm sure the letters mean a lot to them on the island, but like as a viewer, it's not really exciting to see the letter because you're like, well, I don't really know who's on the other end. Like, it's so much more fun to get to see them interact.
Sorry. I was I wrote this earlier in my notes, but there's something sort of like humanizing about
Yeah.
seeing these people with their like seeing the family in person. Because I'm sure they tell each other all about their families back home. It's like, oh, my husband, my dad, my mom, blah blah blah. But it's actually like seeing these people with their real life family members,
Mhm.
and you're like, oh wow, like
Yeah,
they're
like
real people at the end of
these
the day.
random
They're not just like,
NPCs on the island with me actually have like lives.
yeah, it's so strange. Which I think that is that's the pro to the actual family visit,
Mhm.
is that you have that. Obviously, with
And
COVID
then
and stuff, it makes it harder, but what?
like in the end, you're thinking about like who you're next to or like who you are voting for. And it's like, oh
Exactly.
my gosh, like you just get to see a side of them that you don't get to see before. Because I feel like a lot of them, I feel like maybe this way about Todd, he does come off as like a lot more reserved
Game
about
body.
things.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it's fun to see him just like open up.
And I think it's definitely, I mean, we see it a lot. We'll get into this later in the episode. This definitely becomes point of conversation. Like them being able to see Denise in her life, I
Yeah.
think is really like weighing on them now. They're like, oh my god. We'll get into it later, but Todd and Amanda have a conversation about it, and it really, this becomes the point of conversation. Like, can't who do we want to go to the end with? And Jeff has a really interesting point at Tribal. We'll get into it later, but we'll expand on
I
this.
love this so much.
It's a great. It's the family visit brings so much
It
to an
like makes
episode,
me emotional watching them.
and you don't even really think about it either. Like, of course, you're watching the new era, and you're like, oh, it would be nice if we had the family visit, blah blah blah. But now, actually going back and watching it, you're like, oh wow, this really does add a lot of like different layers to the game
So
in a
much.
at a really crucial point. Like the final six, it is cracking down, and when something like this happens, like it adds a flavor.
I'm really hoping that they bring it back. I know, like, obviously, for COVID reasons, it was just not feasible, which totally understand. But, like, it just, like, this is such a standout moment.
Mhm.
And I think you're right. It adds so many new layers to the game that I think are missing now. And I think it would be so cool to bring back also. Like, imagine you get to go visit your family member in Fiji. That's so fun.
Yeah, and I think it would add a fun in a new era. Like if you keep it 26 days, like and imagine like one day is just like bring your family, go on a reward or something. It like slows the game down a little bit. You're able
Hmm.
because when you have like a family member like that, what I think another layer it adds. When your family comes to the game, you can let your walls down. Like that, you're talking to your dad or your sister, and it's like, oh, this is somebody I 100% trust, and I know is not lying to me, and I know is like
Yes.
has no bad intentions in talking to me right now. I
Yeah.
can breathe for a second. And sometimes you need that clarity to just be able to be like,
And like to
okay, let
talk
me,
through things. Like to someone who
yes.
obviously isn't going to be able to give you like an answer on like questions, but like just someone to talk to that you can
Mhm.
share with and like oh, I can't imagine what relief that would be in that moment.
I think my hope is for Survivor 50 is that they have a little
Yeah.
bit more of I'm hoping for like a 39 day, like a little bit more rooted back into the classic Survivor, and hope maybe when we enter the 50s, it's kind of like a new, like we're sort of reverting a little bit back, taking a couple things from this new era, but like going back to the old format a little bit, because something just
Mhm.
feels so classic. Like it feels like Survivor. When I'm watching a 39-day season, watching these people be miserable for the days where they're not doing anything, watching their family come, like something that just feels right to me. I'm like, this is how I should be viewing Survivor. The
Mhm.
40s have been fun, mostly. There have
Yeah.
been some bad moments, but I'm like, I think a good mix of both would be great.
I think so too. And I was also thinking Survivor 50 would be a great time to bring this back.
hmm Even if it is just for one season, I
Like
don't
that's
know.
so crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah. It'd be so fun.
we'll get there in about 2 years.
Yeah.
I guess a year. Because Survivor 47 is about to air. Wait, no, 2 years. It would be 2 years.
Yeah.
47, 48, 49, 50. Okay, take your bets. Is this podcast still going to be a thing by Survivor 50? Take your bets,
I
everybody.
think at least we have to make it to Survivor 50.
I think so
I
too.
think we will.
I think we will. What else do we have going on in our lives?
Yeah,
Like,
like
we're kind of
literally
like
nothing.
nothing. So, let's break down whose family members are here. So, we have Eric's mom, Denise. We have Amanda's sister Katrina, who they look quite similar.
I know, that's just blonde Amanda.
I know, literally, that's what I was thinking. I was like, that is just blonde Amanda. We have PG's dad, Lawrence.
Which obsessed with he runs out of the bushes and he's like, PG. I
I
that made me
know.
want to cry.
I
In
love.
his little
I just
jorts.
love. I love. Oh my god. Something about Asian dads just really get me because I myself have an Asian dad, and it's just something about an Asian fatherly figure that it just like makes me tear up because I love my dad. I can literally cry. I just love my dad so much, and seeing other people love their dads just makes me so
I
emotional because
too
I
love
love
my
my dad.
dad.
So Lawrence and PG, um, Lawrence's dad PG, Todd's sister Brandy.
Hmm.
We'll get to that in a second. Courtney's dad Graham, who's
British.
English, who's British.
Yeah.
That was random. I feel like I had like I remember Courtney's dad. Maybe I was thinking of him coming in like a
I
button
feel
down and
like
stuff.
she mentioned it at one point. I feel like I knew he was British. And when
I
he's
feel.
he's opened his mouth, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right."
Oh yeah. And then Denise's husband Robert,
Yes.
Mr. Denise, as Courtney
Mr.
calls him.
Denise.
So everybody's like interacting. It's really good. Well, Brandy comes out, Todd's sister, and they hug. It's really emotional. It's a really quiet moment. They're hugging each other, and Todd asks about his little sister who was pregnant when he left, and Brandy goes, "She lost the baby," and then walks away. Very devastating moment, obviously, for a family, but why did I feel like that was just the worst possible time to say something?
Yes, 100%. And I know we'll talk about this later, but yeah, it felt a little bit odd in the moment.
It did.
And it did feel a little bit similar. What season did the Johnny Fairplay thing happen?
That was season 7.
Okay. And that is just like a standout moment from Survivor when I'll probably let you explain it a little better than I could, but that also got brought up this episode. And yeah, I just it was a little bit interesting. I don't want to say funny because it's not funny, but like it's a little funny.
For those not familiar with Johnny Fairplay, season 7 Pearl Islands, the family visit comes. Johnny Fairplay's friend, I forget his name. It was like something Thunder, like I can't
Yeah.
remember his friend's name. Comes out and they're hugging, and Johnny looks a little sad. And everybody's like, "What's going on?" Well, I guess Fairplay is what we call him. Fairplay is a little sad. People are like, "What's going on?" And then Fairplay's like, "How's grandma?"
Yes.
And his friend is like, "She's dead, dude."
Yes.
And Fairplay's like, "Oh my god, this is so devastating." And then Probst is like, "What's going on?" And Fairplay's like, "Well, my loved one was supposed to be my grandma. She was supposed to come out and see me, but I knew if she didn't come out, that she was going to be gone. Like that she would have been died because she wasn't good when we left."
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody's emotional about it. The only person not emotional about it, infamous Queen Sandra Diaz.
Sandra. Yes.
And Fairplay is like, "Oh my god!" And so the theme of that season is like pirates, and so the challenge they're doing is like walk off the plank.
Yes.
And Sandra and her, I think it was her uncle or her brother or something, they win a point and get to tell somebody to like walk closer off the edge, and they tell Fairplay's friend to walk closer off the edge, and everybody's like, "Sandra, what are you doing? Like, his grandma's dead, like he deserves to win this challenge." And Sandra was like, "I don't believe him." At least she was just like, "I don't think that should be the reason that he wins, just because he's going through something. Like, we all are seeing our families, blah, blah, blah." So, but then we cut. So I think they end up winning the challenge, and we cut after the challenge. They're hanging out at camp. We find out that this is a lie. Fairplay's grandma is probably at home watching Maury.
Maury, I was going to say, what was the TV show? She's probably sitting on the couch watching Maury right now.
And she's not dead, and it was in fact just a lie that they could have used to gain sympathy to win the challenge.
Yeah. Which is really funny.
It is really funny, but it's definitely this is 7. So that was season 7. This is season 15. So 7 that only happened 3 years ago. Pretty fresh on the minds. This is like one of the biggest things that have happened in Survivor since like season 1.
It's still talked about.
It's still talked about. It's a huge moment. And so I can understand that it's the timing of everything. And Todd has shown to be pretty cold throughout the season.
Yeah.
So like I can understand. Not again, I'm sure this is real, and I don't want to discredit anything. It's a very obviously very hard moment to go
Todd
through.
Todd says it was real. Like later.
It was real, yes. And his Brandy ends up saying like the sister's fine, like she's doing good, like it's okay. But it was just like the timing of everything,
and like the way Jeff was like, and what was that? What was that last part you said? Like it just felt exactly the same in the moment.
Mm-hmm. So we'll get into a little bit this more after the challenge is over, but they have to. It's this challenge for those of you who don't watch the episode or just listen to the podcast,
which you were always so concerned about.
It's a challenge where they're both blindfolded. They're at opposite sides of a maze, and they have to call each other, and they have to end up getting to the middle and standing on top of the stage, all while blindfolded, all while guiding themselves through this maze. At first, I was like, "This challenge is really stupid."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then I thought about it after writing it out, and I went, "Oh, you know what? It really isn't that stupid." I think I was just like, I don't know why.
I thought it was really fun.
I did think it was fun. I was like, okay. At first, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Why are they doing this? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, wait, no, I get it.
My favorite was Amanda and Katrina doing the bird noises / chicken calls at each other.
Yes. And so Amanda and Katrina are making bird noises to get each other, which I think, like, there's only 12 of them out there, and like the sound of your sister's voice. I really don't think it was that. If it was like everybody, if at the start of the game it was 16 people, 16 loved ones, and like you're having to like do that, 32 people out there, I could understand. But I was like, it's really not that many people, but it was silly. And my favorite was at some point Amanda's like right next to Denise doing the bird call, and Denise goes, "Stop doing that." Like, okay, Denise. Um, it was a silly challenge. It was fun. They end up Denise and Robert end up winning.
I'm really
With
disappointed that he didn't have a mullet too, to be honest.
Imagine, and that would be crazy. I don't know how I would have been able to handle that. I would have had to cut my hair. Um, crazy, crazy, crazy little challenge. The Denise and Robert win. They instantly Denise is tasked with picking two people to go on this reward thing with them, and Denise instantly picks Todd and Brandy. It's like, you guys have to come, and then she picks Amanda, and they go off, and Eric and PG and Courtney have to say goodbye to their loved ones, which is so devastating to see. It's so sad.
Yeah, I would really struggle with that.
You get a slice of love for like an hour. Like,
And
that's
half the
really
time you're
devastating.
blindfolded.
Yeah, it's half the time you're blindfolded. Like, that's really devastating. Um, but it is what it is. They split up. Eric, Courtney, and PG end up going back to the camp, and Todd, Amanda, and Denise end up going on the reward challenge. They're on a little boat. They're eating some food. Uh, we see that there is a huge chocolate chocolate cake. Amanda screams bloody murder at this chocolate cake.
Yeah.
It's insane. I was like, oh, that has to be crazy. I don't know. I remember or I don't think we had this. Oh no, you know what it was? We did have this conversation because we did watch 42 live together.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember Lindsay, flashback, won a reward, and I it may have been Lindsay. I can't. Somebody in 42 won a reward, and it was either you could either eat cake and like a couple different desserts, or have like spaghetti and salad or something was like the two options for the
Mm-hmm.
reward. And I remember when we were watching, I was like, I don't know if I'd choose the cake because like I feel like that would make me sick. Like imagine eating just like a sweet chocolate cake, chocolate icing, desserts. Like that sounds like that would make my stomach hurt. But then Lindsay, who is a dietitian, I remember she tweeted because it was a huge point of debate. People were like, "What should have been picked?"
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Actually, the chocolate cake should be picked because you're gonna get so many calories from that chocolate cake that
Mm-hmm.
it'll bring your energy up. And what you need at this point isn't necessarily like protein. What you need is calories.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're burning in all these challenges and daily activity." So I was like, you know what? Amanda was ahead of the game for choosing the chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Like she knew exactly what she was doing
Yeah.
when they went in for that.
It did look pretty beautiful.
It did look very yummy. I do think my stomach would hurt if I ate that in the moment of like not having anything else in my stomach, but it did look very, very tasty.
Mm-hmm.
What did I? Oh, so
Also
then
those little tiny
yes,
pizzas look disgusting.
of course, it's
Forever
forever
pizza.
from season 15 to season 46. Like never on top of the game.
I didn't realize they were pizza until they like specifically said it.
We go back to the three at camp,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's a little pissed off right now. PG is a little pissed off because, and I think out of the three of them, PG is most rightfully pissed off.
Yeah.
PG chose Denise for a once in a lifetime reward, specifically catered toward Denise. Like that reward was catered toward Denise and her interests. Like crazy experience Denise got to go on because of PG,
Mm-hmm.
and PG doesn't get picked.
And I would say PG has been like really making an effort with Denise lately.
We will definitely talk about this soon. We'll get into it. We'll get into it later. But PG is mad. Courtney and Eric are not believing the story of Todd's younger sister miscarrying,
Mm-hmm. They're
and
they're really not believing.
really not believing her. In fact, Courtney gets a whole confessional about it. I didn't take any quotes from the confessional, but it was pretty much her being like,
He like what Oscar what should win an Oscar for that performance, and then she basically
mm-hmm,
acted it out.
mm-hmm. Oh, my sister had a miscarriage. Which is a
She's
crazy.
bold for doing that.
She
Even
does
back
some good.
then.
She has been saying that she hates these people from day one. Like it doesn't surprise me. I do think that this confessional alone put her on the villains tribe for
Yes.
Heroes versus Villains. Um, Crazy confessional, kind of iconic. I don't think talked about enough, but like, what a wild thing to do.
Yeah, like you can.
That's how you just know they're fed up because they don't give a fuck anymore. She's like, I'm gonna say what I need
Yes.
to say on this confessional right now.
Yes. It's one thing to like have this conversation with others, but it's another thing for you on your own to do this as a confessional and like all the theatrics about it when you just don't know if it's real or not. But like I do understand it did come across as like suspicious. I will give her that, but like I just don't think I would have gone to the extent that she did. But I'm also, not losing my mind on a beach in China for over a month.
Yeah, she's just a girl.
Yeah. And I feel like it's fine because her and Todd don't seem to like have any beef over this like to this day. So,
We come back. Part of the surprise for the reward is that I didn't really go in. They Denise got to call her family. It was really emotional. Her daughter wouldn't stop
on
crying
a
on the phone.
Sprint BlackBerry.
Yes, yes. Don't forget that it's a Sprint BlackBerry, y'all.
Yeah.
Do you have Sprint? What's your carrier?
I have Google Fi. What do
I
you
don't know
have?
what that means.
Google. Like,
Google has like
yeah.
a. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I love it.
I have AT&T,
Yeah, AT&T doesn't work great where I live, so I switched
which
after
is
I had
so
to get a new phone.
interesting to me.
Yeah.
AT&T doesn't work great infamously where I live either.
I did have AT&T before. And
If you try to text or call me in my place of residence and you don't have an iPhone, it doesn't work. I
no.
don't. And this is coming from Maddie, who does not have an iPhone, and we've definitely hit some roadblocks there. Um, but no, it was a problem when I went to when I studied abroad in Ghana. Actually, it was actually a big problem because I
Right.
tried to buy it like an international package and it was not working. And so then
Yeah.
I had to be on Wi-Fi the whole time. I'm getting flashback. I remember when you were in France.
Yeah, I was able to text when I was in France, but I did not ever call.
Did you use WhatsApp?
Yes.
That's what I used too. I found that very much enjoyable.
That's what they like to use abroad.
All of them, everywhere. The
Yeah.
Ghanaians love using WhatsApp. That's how we talk to
Europeans
everybody.
love WhatsApp. I know
Everybody loves WhatsApp
people,
except the US, I feel like.
yeah. I know I work with some people who like lived outside the US for a long time and then like recently in the last few years moved back here and they all hate texting. Like they only
Mm.
want to use WhatsApp. And then when I'm like I don't have WhatsApp, I don't use it. They're like, "Why?" That like texting is bad. Use WhatsApp.
I mean, you and I use Discord to talk to each other, so really, it's basically one step away from WhatsApp.
That's true. The Discord is our workaround for not
I talk
being able
to
to
my
text.
sibling Rowan. We only talk on Discord. Like we
Yeah.
text each other on Discord.
Yeah. But then
And
sometimes Riley isn't logged into the right Discord and then doesn't see my message for multiple days.
sometimes I am logged into my Blue Jeans the Horse Discord. It's from Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
Um, when I role play as Blue Jeans the Horse. So if you see me if you see any Blue
So if
Jeans
Riley
roaming
isn't
around,
I was gonna say, so if Riley isn't responding to you on Discord either, then like that might be the issue.
mhm,
And then when
mhm.
Riley's like, wait, why hasn't Maddie texted me since she's been home? It might be because I already did. Just maybe I did not text Blue Jeans the horse. I can't even be mad about it because it's so funny.
So the part of the reward is that the Brandy, Mr. Denise, and Katrina get to come back to camp with them and spend the night with them at camp. This was a surprise part of the reward. Nobody expected it. So they come in strolling in on the boat, and then Eric, PG, and Courtney are like, Oh my god. Oh my god, we can't do this. We
Like,
cannot do this. We
I do
can't
not
do
have the
this. We can't
energy to
do
be
this.
nice right now, which
Eric
I would
fully
feel
said at
that.
some point, Eric was like, I don't know the proper way to respond to this right now.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't either. Like, that's really frustrating and really sad and heartbreaking.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm just gonna sleep here. Do not wake me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, they, um, sorry, I got lost. Somebody texted me. I got lost in my notes for a second. Denise, and her husband, Mr. Denise, go off to talk.
We
And
missed a part.
what
How
part?
Amanda and Todd come back with chocolate all over their fingers,
Oh,
and then
yes, 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 yes.
then PG, Courtney, and Eric get to lick the chocolate off their fingers, which was crazy.
It was crazy. I don't know. I'm sure they washed their hands before they ate, but I'm also like, I mean, I don't know. Next season, I think more infamously, there's a scene in season 16 of Survivor where this is
Is that at the auction?
at the auction, yeah.
Yes.
Where it's a little bit more of a thing, licking
Yeah.
chocolate off of somebody's hands. But it's an interesting point. It's kind of gross, but I'm sure if I hadn't had chocolate in
I'm
32
sure I
days,
would appreciate it.
yeah. Denise and her husband go off to talk, I guess. This is what we were talking about earlier. Like, it's nice having a sort of somebody to have an ear that can listen to you,
Mm-hmm.
which is really good. Um, Denise and Todd, sorry, not Denise and Todd. Denise and Mr. Denise are talking about how she is working with Amanda and Todd, and she knows it's a risk to work with them, but that's a risk that she's willing to take, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like at this point, I feel like it is kind of just bad gameplay on Denise's part because I think it's been shown time and time again that she is not their number three. Courtney is very clearly their number three. They
Yeah.
have fought so hard to keep Courtney on their side and to make sure that Courtney is sort of isolated to them.
Yeah.
That to me as Denise, I would see that and be like,
And
this.
because PG and Eric are like actively wanting to work with her, where it feels like such a more passive relationship with like the Todd and Amanda group that I just like don't understand where Denise is coming from in like thinking that she might be number three. When also PG and Eric are telling her you are number four. You are
Mhm,
not number three. And it's still like not
mhm.
clicking for Denise.
I wrote a note earlier. Well, in a little bit because now we're getting ready. Amanda. Well, so this, and then we see that this thought is proven right because Todd and Amanda and Katrina and Brandy, they're sitting in the body of water next to them, and they're chit chatting. And Amanda and Todd are like, we cannot go to the end with Denise.
Yeah.
Like her story is too good.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we start seeing like the visualization of these people's lives. They're like Amanda, I think, actually says the point. She's like, she makes $100 like a day, or
A
not a day,
week.
like a week. Like this is not. People are going to give her the money out of pure what's the word? Pure sentiment. Is that the right?
I don't know
Something
the
like
word,
that.
but I know what you're saying. I mean, and it's
Yeah.
so valid. We saw that this season, the recent season of like that was a huge reason why a lot of people voted for Kenzie.
Yeah. And
That was
her
like,
story, her being able to sort of like vocalize
yeah,
this thing about her journey of work
yeah,
it happens a lot with a lot of these winners,
and
being
like
able to tell their life stories.
I know there's a huge argument online about this of like it should be how you played in the game versus like your life outside the game, but you cannot help but factor in like once again Liz and her questionable thing to be like I'm a millionaire when allegedly she's not.
Hmm.
She's a billionaire. But like why I don't think like in my conscience I would be able to vote for someone that is already rich. Like if that is something that
Yeah.
like you openly know. But if I know that like Denise does not make a lot of money and like that million would like really change her life, like you cannot help but like in your heart want to give her the money more.
Kind of similar, not similar at all. One thing I hate is when Survivor fans or people just in general, like when you look at the lottery or something, and people are like $1 million isn't that much money. $1 million? People are like, it's just $1 million. Like in today's economy, that doesn't get you anything.
And it's like after
Oh,
taxes, blah blah
after taxes,
blah.
okay, so it's $800,000. You know how much? You know what I could do with $800,000?
Yeah.
I think about that sometimes because sometimes I'll think that I'm like, I mean, like Survivor should up its money. Like $1 million is not that much money, and then I sit and I'm like, $1 million is more than I will probably ever make in my lifetime. I don't know if that's true, but wait, let's say I make $60,000 a year. Wait, what's a million divided by 60,000? It would take me 16 years if
Yeah.
I made $60,000 on the dot, and that would be like saving all. That's not
And
taxes,
I
not
was
bills, not any of
yeah.
this stuff. Like it would probably take you 30, 40 years to actually see on $1 million in a bank account, and that's just if you're like working.
Really and
Like
like
that's
intentionally saving for that.
I'd be 60 years old.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah. It
That's a
is a
lot of
lot
money.
of money and you cannot say otherwise.
You think I'm like I would be able to pay off my student loans, and then it's like, oh my god, I'd still have so much money
I could
left
like
over.
literally buy a house.
You could buy a house.
Yeah.
Damn.
And you know what?
Anyway,
Like even if you can't like pay, let's say you can't even like pay off a whole house with it after taxes or whatever, or like depending on where you live, that's still like a down payment, or that's still like savings, or like you get to go on a
mhm.
trip that you want to
A
go on,
trip.
like,
Like,
or just like be comfortable.
you could just
That's
go to Europe.
huge.
You could just do a Europe trip.
Yeah. Go crazy. $1 million Europe trip.
You could save the euro single-handedly.
Yeah, true. But like that, you just like can't help but factor into it. I thought where you were gonna go with the Survivor fans thing was like how I feel about it is like you have not played the game though. And
Hmm.
like if old Survivor players want to chime in on like how they feel about giving the money to someone like based on their real life like financial status, sure, but like I don't think random people on the internet should be like, how dare you vote for this person in the end because they like talked about their story. I think their story and their background like comes into how they play Survivor. And
Yeah,
like you can't really separate the two in my opinion.
you really can't, because Survivor is supposed to be like a mirror of real life. Like people's real life experiences are going to inform the way that they play Survivor.
So true.
We should start a podcast.
Yeah.
So we that's sort of the last thoughts. They end up going away on the boat. It's really sad, blah blah blah. They'll see each other in like 7 days. It's fine. We then go to the immunity challenge. And one thing that we haven't talked about this season that I think is really interesting is I forget in older Survivors when the locations changed that the survivors before you leave, you would actively have to do research on the place that you are going towards.
I was gonna say, I love how much like Chinese culture and history they're actually being tested on. That's
I
so
forget.
fun.
And this isn't just a China thing. I think post season 20, I think this really it like sort of dies down. Like I don't think there's as much cultural challenges, but I think in the first 20 seasons, this is a really prevalent thing that you have to do before you leave is to study where you're going. Because I would say a good 2/3 of these challenges this whole season have incorporated something about Chinese culture or Chinese history or Chinese
Mm-hmm.
tradition. Um, and I forget that they would like that used to be a really important thing, like having to know. And we see in this immediate. So for those who didn't watch the episode but are like listening to the podcast, the challenge this episode was about Chinese inventions, and so they had to like go through this whole long. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't 100% watching. I did watch this episode last night because I forgot that I had to do notes, and I was like, oh my god, I have to do notes tonight. So then I was watching it, and I was like, okay, I'll get ready for bed during the challenge. And then I was kind of watching, but they had to go through this long thing, and there was 3 sets of keys, and each time you opened a box, um, it was like which invention.
It's true. Like one is
Is
true, one
true.
is false.
One is true. And so you would have to pick the true key, come back,
And it
go
was
through
like
the
an
mud into the
obstacle course,
water.
and you're tied
Yes.
to a rope, so you can only go
Yeah.
a certain way, and you can't get like
Yes.
stuck.
Yes. And then they would have to go all the way back, unlock it. If it was wrong, then they would have to go all the way back to get the right key just to come back to unlock it. And you have to do that 3 times. And it's proven that the knowledge is what say like I think Eric was in the lead at the beginning, but then he just like couldn't get the right key. Is that what
Um,
happened? Or was he just like in
no,
the back?
Eric was just like doing really bad the whole time. Like
Oh,
he just was
slay.
struggling to like make it through the challenge
Mhm.
because it was really tiring. Like they were walking like
Yeah, yeah.
90% of the time. It was Todd and Amanda that were basically neck and neck. Like Todd was slightly in the lead for the entire challenge. Then Amanda got like her second one wrong, and then Todd and then like PG was able to like slowly just kind of catch up. And then
Mhm.
Todd got his last one wrong when PG was like already on her way with her last key. So like technically he would have won by like quite a bit if he was correct
Mhm.
in the end, but ultimately PG got them all right. So slow and steady wins the race.
And hey, now do we think? I'm not one to call it Asian success because I love seeing Asian people succeed. But PG has been winning a lot of these recent challenges, and a lot of them have been doing with Chinese culture.
I was thinking about that, but I think this challenge, I looking at them, I knew most of them. It was
See, and that's what we talked about last episode too. Is like most of these seem like simple things.
like I knew already that the fortune cookie was not from China. So like
Yeah,
easy. I don't remember what the other ones were, like the wheelbarrow and like I don't remember. But I think I would have done really well on this. Just like the
me
knowledge
too.
part.
I think we should go back and try it. Do you think they still have it set up?
Yeah.
Mm. Um, PG ends up winning the challenge, which great. She's on a streak. This is well, I guess not 3 challenges in a row because she did lose the reward challenge, but she won 3 of the last 4 challenges.
She's really good.
She is
Challenge
getting
beast.
into it. Challenge B. She is saving herself from the beginning of the episode. She is fighting for it.
Mm-hmm.
They get back to camp, and Eric knows he's on the block. He knows it's pretty close. PG's like, I'm not gonna vote for you. We can try to vote for Todd. Eric sort of has this confessional where he's like, Todd is sort of like the clear cut. Like everybody knows Todd is a threat, but nobody wants to get Todd out.
He had such a good point about that. And
Yeah,
he's like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do at this point because we all know it's like Todd is so strong, but no one is willing to do anything. And like that makes it impossible for me to do any, like, I can't convince these people.
it's a testament to a really good game Todd is playing because he really has been kind
Yeah.
of leading things since the beginning.
And
Maybe not
everyone sees
as
it.
yes, at this point, I don't think we've really heard much about it until these last couple episodes where people are like, okay, Todd is sort of like in charge here. But it like to me, I'm like, well, Amanda knows. Amanda's like, I has said in the past that I cannot go to the end with Denise or Todd. Like,
Hmm.
those are people she won't be able to win against. So she knows. Denise knows that Todd isn't trustworthy. Courtney, I don't think likes anybody, but like PG and Eric also know that Todd isn't trustworthy. If PG, Eric, Todd, and Amanda got together, but then I understand, saying all that, I do understand where Amanda and Denise are coming from. Because it's like, you go up against Eric and PG, like, you're next to 2 people who,
Have fought the entire time.
yes, but then, this is where, like, you have to test your luck and the strategy comes into it. Because something that I don't think a lot of people think about when going to the end with like a duo or a pair like that is that the risk is okay, these people have a better story. That's the con. But the pro is that PG and Eric, if they get to the end with you, they're fighting for the same votes. They
Yeah.
basically have the same story. So it's like the risk that you have Amanda or Denise sitting next to them is saying that you have your own individual game. You did different. You played differently and were able to do X, Y, and Z, where Eric and PG played the exact same games. And the people who are likely to vote for the story of PG or Eric are going to have to pick between PG or Eric, which means that they're going for each other's votes. They're likely going to, like, the odds are maybe they'd split votes or something, which gives you a better chance, the person sitting next to them, to sort of add up more votes. Does that make sense?
Yes. If I were Amanda, I would want to go to the end with Courtney and Eric. Because I think it's
Yeah.
easier to argue that Eric has really just been like kind of along for the ride and that really it's been PG in control. And then
PG and
like,
Jamie, I'd say, like, they were the ones that
yeah.
were sort of like telling Eric what to do.
But since Jamie got voted out, like it's really been PG. And
Yeah.
then like, I'm sorry, love Courtney, but like she's there. And
I think
she won a challenge.
she
But
has one, yes. She has one in immunity. Um, yeah, I think that's a good point. If I was Amanda, it would be Eric. And Eric trusts Amanda, which is nice.
yeah.
Like he's like, this is sort of, she's like the saving grace.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's a good, that makes sense. Yeah. And I think that for Denise too, I think that would be good. I don't think Eric wins. I don't think
No.
Eric's a full shot win.
No.
I'd be more scared sitting next to PG. PG by herself, I think, is understandable.
Yeah.
But even then, a lot of people don't like PG.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I don't know. Anyway. So, Eric's on the block. They're trying to convince Denise. Okay, so I kind of wrote out thoughts here. I'm just going to read them as I wrote them because I had a hard time sort of figuring out what I wanted to say. So I said, Eric and PG are trying hard to sway Denise. And they tell her, I think it's Eric, fourth is better than third. Because Denise's thought is like, I'm at the bottom of this group of four. And Eric's like, well, like, third is a better placement than fourth. Like,
Yeah.
you should be able to see that. And I was like, I said, it's all up to Denise on what to do. And to me, if I'm trying to put myself in Denise's position, I think Eric and PG are right. It's good for PG to flip. Or, sorry, it's good. PG and Eric are right. It's good for Denise to flip against these people because she's very clearly on the bottom. And it's hard to watch as we see episode after episode that Denise remains on the bottom. And she knows that she's on the bottom too. Like, she feels it, but she's not doing anything about it, which makes it hard. But at the final six, I don't think that this is the time for Denise to flip. I think the time to flip is an odd number where a tie is less likely to happen. It would have been the final seven or the final five. Because the final six for Denise, say she does flip, you still need one more person for the majority. And that trio of Courtney, Eric, and Amanda, Courtney, Todd, and Amanda are not breaking up. So it doesn't make sense for Denise to flip and make it a 3-3 vote to risk going to rocks, possibly.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense for Denise at all. It makes more sense for her to have a safe vote this round, get to the final five, and then hope PG doesn't win, and then secure a spot in the final four.
Yeah.
At this point, what would make more sense is for her to flip at the final five. Maybe, I think, possibly that makes sense. What would be the better route for her is to flip with PG at the final five, and then hope that maybe Courtney or Amanda flips on Todd or Courtney. So one of the two.
Which I feel like you could I feel like you could talk enough sense into Amanda, to be honest.
Yes, because Amanda knows.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Because Courtney, I think, is just like, I'll do whatever it takes to get to the end at this point. Amanda very clearly still wants to win and knows that her odds at winning are not good against Courtney, Denise, or Todd, as some sort of mix of those.
Yeah.
But you throw PG and just Denise in there, I think Amanda has a really good shot.
Yeah. I agree.
So that is what I was saying. I was like, it doesn't make sense for her to flip at the final six. Like, it doesn't.
It's really just like a last chance ditch effort to like try and save Eric is what it felt like.
Yeah, on paper it does, because it's like, okay, she is at the bottom. But she'll still be at the bottom of the next vote, and like she can make something happen then, where it's a little bit more easy for her to do that.
Yeah.
So that was my thought there. And then we get to tribal, because that was sort of the last thing they're talking about. That was my last thought. Eric and PG are trying to convince Denise, and we leave off with Denise being like, "What am I gonna do? Who am I gonna side with? What's the best option for me?" Fade away, cut away to tribal. They're there. PG, without saying Denise's name, very clearly calls Denise out and is like, she needs to stand. She needs to do something. Like, you cannot just like sit
Yeah.
and wait. The game is coming to an end. We have a week left. 2 more votes. Well, I guess 3 more, counting the vote that night. But like 3 more votes is not a lot of time to make moves to secure the best spot for yourself.
Yeah.
So I think PG is in the right. But my final thought of this episode as I'm watching this tribal council, because there was a way that I think Todd answered a question that made me sort of realize this, was that I think Todd is doing a better job than PG and Eric at instilling a mutual trust in Denise.
Yes.
Todd is very clearly being like, Denise, we need each other. Like, this is a relationship where there's a mutual gain.
He says, babe, vote with us.
Vote with us.
I love when he calls her babe.
Like, it's good for both of us to vote together.
Yeah.
Where PG and Eric are approaching this as a way to keep themselves alive. There's no mutual
gain.
Sort of gain there.
Yeah.
They're like, we need you so we can survive in this game. And then Denise is like, okay, well then what do I get out of it? I'm still at the bottom between you two.
Yeah.
Like, you two would choose each other before you choose me. But is it like I work with this group where there's been a sort of mutual respect for each other, or do I go to this group where I'm just the pawn for your survival?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so great about Todd's game at this point, is that he is so good at making it seem like a mutual relationship with everybody. This is obviously
the right move. Yeah.
It's obviously the right move for us when it's really just the right move for Todd.
He would be a great cult leader.
Probably. Denise does not end up siding with Eric and PG.
Bye, Eric.
She ends up voting Eric out. Eric goes. PG is now on the bottom, and Denise has drawn the line
in the sand.
I think it's official. This is a pagonging, as the girls like to call it. I think because it was very clear for those who are not Survivor aficionados, a pagonging references when at the merge point, it's basically still a tribal game. And so like one tribe who has the numbers basically eats the other tribe and votes them all out.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a very classic pagonging, because obviously we see Jean Robert, we see James get the boots. Deering.
But at the end of the day, felt the two tribes. It's
always felt very Zhang Hu versus Fei Long. Like, it's always felt that way.
And it's been brought up so often. Like, the entire merge. It's been like, 4 versus how many? You know, like, yeah.
But yeah, Eric goes. Kind of a classic pagonging. PG is the last Zhang Hu left, I'm pretty sure. I think Fei Long is the red tribe.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's going to happen? But PG has been a fighter this whole season. Like, her storyline has very much been...
literally since the beginning.
Like, I won't stop. Literally since the beginning. Her versus Dave.
Yeah.
Like, she has been fighting since day one to stay in this game. Like, literally, yeah, she almost went home against Chicken.
Yeah.
So, will she have it in her? Who knows? Oh my god, guys. Sorry, I literally woke up 30 minutes before we recorded this. I wasn't really able to sort of, like, warm up the vocal cords here. But that's the end of this episode. Do you have any other thoughts?
I love this season. I'm having such a good time watching it. And it's so fun.
I'm glad that you're having fun. I really enjoy the season.
I'm glad that you're having fun, because I'm hating this.
I think I said this at the beginning of the season. This was the first, when I went through and did my first, like, watch through of Survivor. Like, I was like, okay, because I watched Ghost Island live. That was my first season that I watched live. And then I didn't watch David vs. Goliath live. And then I think I I after that I was like, oh, I need to go back and I need to like watch Survivor. Like I need to know these reference points. I need to know
Yeah.
XYZ. And China was the season I started with, so it's a really important season to me.
You know what's also interesting? It feels so much less like modern day cheesy. Like
Yes.
when you brought up David versus Goliath, I was like, "Oh, I like that season." But I remember being kind of annoyed in the whole beginning of like, "I'm the underdog," like which
Like
fair
I'm the
enough. But
David.
like
I'm the
I'm
David.
yes, like I do this. This is my background and this is my job and blah blah blah. I don't care. This felt so just like real. And like this is what Survivor was intended to be, and it's not just as like showy. And oh, I just unplugged my headphones.
Mm.
Anyways, I just really like it. And they just don't make it like this nowadays.
Sorry, I muted myself accidentally. Yeah, it's a great season. It feels really fun. And I love it's really refreshing. This was a good season. We obviously still have a couple episodes left to go, but um I think this has been a good off season to really like I feel like 47 I feel like we're on a good kick with Survivor right now. 45 was great, 46
Mm-hmm.
was great. I truly have a feeling 47 is going to be great. Like I have a feeling this ending, I feel like Survivor it took a little bit, but I think in the new era Survivor has found its footing a little bit, and I'm hoping from 45 to 50 it's just going to be banger after banger after banger after banger after banger after banger after banger.
Yeah.
Give us Survivor China energy in Survivor 47.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you all for watching. Come back
Yeah.
next week, please.
Please.
Please come back next week, please. If you enjoyed this, you can like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube. And if you want more content, you can follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at Making Fire
Yeah.
Pod. Guess what I wanted to say? Guess what I wanted to say?
You know, I was just thinking. Okay, so by the time this episode comes out, I am a little bit backlogged at the moment, I will admit. But
We have recorded
we
so
haven't
in this span since the last episode we have recorded 4 episodes. Everybody, little
but
spoiler alert.
because we were already gonna do two, so I'm really like not that far behind. It just feels like it because this is like episode 4 now. That's like ready to be edited, but we won't be talking for a while, like
So
in real
true.
time,
Yeah,
because Riley's going on a
I'm
big
about to go on a.
trip.
I'm going on a like a 2.5 week trip, 2 week trip.
Yeah. So, but
So
next time we talk, it'll be like mid
I'll be a
to
whole
end
new
of
person.
August.
I know, isn't it crazy? My mom said that the other day. She was like, "I'm not going to see you until the end of August," and I was like, "Oh my god, I really am gone for all of August."
Yeah.
Damn.
So we'll have a lot to catch up on
Yeah.
because we notoriously are not good at talking when we don't record.
So true. So true. So true.
And that's on both of us.
It is on both of us, but I feel like this is to end the podcast. This is just a really good space
It is. It's so
for us to
fun.
talk. I feel like
Yeah,
it's healthy.
it is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Come back next week for another great episode of Survivor China Review Pod.
Yeah.
I look crazy. Look at all my gray hair. Bye.
Bye.
I can't wait. Yeah, this turns out. Smooches!
Bye.
Smooches!